there. Today is June 10th, 2014. You're listening to I Think You Think. We're your hosts. I am Justin. This is
James.
And we carry no credentials worth noting.
Nothing.
Don't have any. Nope. We don't have any guests this week. We did have a guest last week, Sammy. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. If you have not heard that podcast yet or seen that vidcast, nice. Go back one video or pod.
Travel backwards in time.
Yes.
We have presently traveled forwards in time to record this video.
Yeah, actually, we are recording this prior to actually that one.
Yes. Sometimes when you're podcasting, you need to use time travel to make it work right.
In fact, we are talking about time travel a little bit.
No, that's going to be in 3 years.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Anyway, we are a weekly topical podcast that focuses on what we think and also what you think. So feel free to email us. You can contact us on Facebook and through Twitter and all sorts of things. Check out our website, IThynkYouThink.com. You can even write little comments in a YouTube video, and we will read them, every single one of them.
Or big comments.
They don't have to be, we will read all of them. We may not always respond to all of them, but I certainly will read them. James might read them.
If I ever learn how.
That's right. And I Think You Think is brought to you by, produced by StolenArts Productions. We want to always thank Alex and the Anders, which we've been really bad about the last 2 episodes.
It's true, but they know that we love them.
In fact, it is awesome that they have let us use their music, which you heard at the beginning and will hear at the end. And if you like to listen to our shows, we'll hear always at the beginning and the end.
And actually, on that note, a quick happy anniversary to Tom and Gwen. It was probably about 10, 12 days ago now. Hope you enjoyed your trip. Guys got to come out. I haven't seen you in a long time.
So, the ball's in your court. Anyway, StravaMax.com, young lady that made all of our graphics. It makes jewelry for StravaMax.com, so please go check out their website. Link is in the underbar. It's also on the info for the podcast on Libsyn. So, also make sure you like and share all of the podcasts and vidcasts, and you can embed everything. And if you have your own website and you want people to listen to us, you can. Speaking of that, we were contacted. I know we talked about this off the air, but let's pretend like we didn't.
Okay.
So
we were contacted.
We were contacted by another website that does live radio streaming.
Could we put that link in the underbar?
We will indeed put that link in the underbar. So go check it out.
See.
They are live streaming. They live stream some of our stuff on, I guess, Wednesday nights.
Okay.
They're kind of in charge of it. I just said, yeah, go ahead, go to it. Check it out. See, they've got a lot of people who are involved with it. Bunch of different shows. So maybe you'll find something else that you're interested in.
So hello to anybody who's listening to us on that.
Yep. Thank you. And if you are listening to us on that, please go to our website, go to our Facebook page, let us know. Don't forget to like us.
What's the name of the website?
Good question. It'll be in the underbar of the video.
Oh, man.
And here we go. There it is.
Oh, well, that was getting a little pushy on me there, but okay.
Yeah, I know. What are we talking about this week?
We are going to talk about some Marvel movies, but really quick, I would like to mention the fact that there is a strange gap between us.
There is.
Sequoia, unfortunately, due to other commitments and a very busy summer, with her traveling the world, is not going to be able to be part of the podcast, at least for now. So anyone out there, if you miss Sequoia, send something to the Sequoia at IThinkYouThink.com. Let her know you miss her. And otherwise, we have a couple people that might fill that spot. I don't know if it's fill that spot. Another host that might come in and try to fill those shoes. We'll see. We got a couple people out there that we've been talking to. So hopefully there'll be a buffer between me and Justin, because we know how much it makes everyone uncomfortable when we cuddle too much during the podcast. So, Justin.
Sorry.
So, anyways.
Yes. So,
what's been taking up your week this week?
I have started playing, obviously, my fancy computer that I have. I've been playing more video games, but most of my time ends up being like staring at the video games that I can play and saying, oh, I don't really want to play that. Oh, I want to play this. But I've started streaming a lot more of my video game playing on Twitch, twitch.tv.
So I don't remember that website.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, that's honestly, that's really what I've been doing. I've gotten really pretty decent at editing our podcasts and our vidcasts with this new computer. I mean, it's really quick, really fast compared to the laptop that I had. So it's really exciting. And so it goes really quick. Like, I have the vidcasts up by Thursdays, Fridays at the very latest anymore. And the podcasts are up by Wednesday. So
nice.
I actually feel like I'm not doing enough anymore. So, which is cool. It's a good feeling to have. So
very nice.
But that's really it. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I've got going on in my life. I'm going to the zoo tomorrow, but that would have been last week.
Last Wednesday on the 4th?
Yeah.
So if you can travel back in time, go visit Justin at the zoo.
Brookfield Zoo. We'll see you there.
You go. For me, the last week, there's always a lot of work. I've been still listening to the first Game of Thrones on audiobook, about 70% of the way through. Really enjoying it. Beyond that, not too much. Laying low, enjoying the beautiful weather. It's been very beautiful out here in not this week that's just ending, but the week before. I had some very beautiful days, so doing my best to enjoy those.
I will say, because it would be this day, the actual day that we're recording for next week, the last Cosmos aired on Sunday. And
is it already? I thought there were 2 more.
No, there's 1 more, because that was the 12th one, which means there's 13 episodes. And actually, because this is for June 10th. Technically, the Blu-ray has released.
Oh.
And I should have it right now in the future. Like, I will have it.
Which
like, I pre-ordered.
There'll be no accessing Justin for however many hours of Cosmos there will be on those Blu-rays.
How many extra hours? Did you see that? Yeah, there's extra hours of Blu-ray, and there's a new cosmic calendar on the Blu-ray as well.
Nice.
So you can go to this link to No, I'm just kidding. To pre-order. Make sure you say that I think you think sent to us. Sent to you or us. Whatever word I want.
Or you want. He's indecisive about it.
Yep.
Anyways, today's podcast is about 3 recent Marvel movies that have been released. Captain America 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and X-Men 14.
Yeah, whatever it is. X-Men Days of Future Past, yes.
Yeah, I guess if you add the Wolverines, it's number 7?
It's starting to turn into the Star Trek movies.
Kind of, where there's no more numbers.
There's no numbers, it's just names.
I guess just X-Men is number 5.
That sounds right. Well, 4?
Yeah, no, because it's the first 3, and then First Class would be the 4th. So
yes. Because this is kind of like the Star Trek generations of X-Men, because you have the old
and the new
at the same time, like the young kids and the older kids. But we're gonna get back to that, because that was the one we just recently saw, so we have a lot to say about that one. And we're gonna start. Let's start with the one that came out first, which was Captain America 2.
Captain America 2.
So, what did you think about this movie?
Number one, I remember in the previews there being something about it being better than the Avengers, and I would not say that. But at this stage, having only seen it once with the ones that have come out on Blu-ray, I've seen many more times. I would estimate that it's probably in the top 3 of the Avengers franchise movies. Iron Man and Avengers being 2 and 1 respectively. Avengers being the best, Iron Man being number 2. It was really good. I enjoyed it. There's a good amount of action. Couple new heroes. That's always fun. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we watch this. You know, what's this hero's power? You know, can they pull it off with the effects? How fun is that? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good movie. I was happy. Unlike one of the movies on our list, I was very happy to pay the fee to go see it in theaters. Totally worth it. I actually brought my mom for her birthday, so happy belated birthday, Mom.
There you go.
Yeah, I liked it. I would recommend, if you haven't seen it in the theaters, it's worth seeing in the theaters. If you miss it there, when it comes out on Blu-ray, it's definitely worth, for me, buying.
Okay.
But at least renting, if that's, if you're not a purchaser of movies. Very good. I thought the story was good. I thought there was a lot of good stuff going on. The action was good. The effects for the action was really good. A little bit of tie-ins to Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
Which I watched, which that was also neat. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm going to disagree with you just a tad. I saw it on like a discount day.
Over.
Yeah, it's done. No more I think you think. 76. 77. 78. One of there. One of those numbers. Anyway, I saw it on like a discount day. There's a local theater that I go to that has special pricing on Tuesdays and gives you free popcorn and stuff. I felt like I paid an adequate amount for what I had seen. If the amount that I had paid to go see XMen recently with you, if I had paid that to see Captain America, I would have been disappointed. That's my personal opinion. You got to remember that like when it comes to movies, like I have pretty high standards, and most action movies, most comic book movies, very rarely hit those standards. I'm almost very like hoity-toity when it comes to like movies. Like I want a good movie with good characters. While I enjoy action movies with great special effects, they're really good as an action and special effects movie, but the characters and the story tends to lag a lot. The writing anymore is also starting to get bad. It's starting to get really terrible. Not terrible. I guess that's probably a bad way to go. But just not fulfilling. Like the characters seem flat most of the time, which coming from a comic book, they are. But anyway, I'm glad that I paid the price that I had for it. We will buy it because my wife is a huge Marvel fan. And so we have all the Marvels. My daughter loves Avengers and Thor, and my son really enjoys comics. My wife is a huge comic book collector. Like she gets comics every week from a local comic book shop. Mostly Star Trek though, as opposed to more of the Marvel stuff. But there's a new Avengers one that just started releasing that she bought for my daughter because she likes Avengers. Which makes her pretty awesome for a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that you like Avengers. Like, that's awesome. But, you know, it was still a Marvel superhero movie. That it was all about action and special effects, which look great and amazing. But the story is just kind of blasé, sort of predictable. You know, there's no real intensity to it, which is what I look for in movies. And so, yeah. But I would say, like, anybody who said that Captain America 2 was better or as good as The Avengers is wrong. I mean, The Avengers was a great movie. They did a good job.
It's a good tagline for the trailer, though.
Yeah.
Because it gets you thinking.
Yeah. But Avengers was good. Avengers was good. It had a lot of the better writing. A lot of the story, for the most part, seemed to make sense. And the characters were a little bit more fleshed out, which happens when you have a huge franchise like this.
Oh, yeah.
It really helps to kind of get the depth of those characters. Here's the problem that all the Marvel superhero movies are having right now. There's nothing dark. They're all like really big, and that's why I'm hoping the next Avengers, the second Avengers, they've got who is it that's coming?
Scarlet Witch.
Thanos, thank you, is coming, and hopefully that'll be nice and dark.
Thanos isn't supposed to be a major player in the new Avengers.
Oh, really?
It's the Age of Ultron. Like, he's going to have an effect, but he's not the final. It's Ultron is the main bad guy. But
well, then I'm kind of disappointed because I want to see more dark stuff.
And I think it will be. From what I've heard, it's going to be a little more dark. Which
is what I did like about Thor 2, which we're not really talking about this week, but Thor 2 had more of the dark aspects of the Thor comics. And I'm only generally acquainted with them. Like, my wife is much more acquainted with the comics than I am.
Right.
But I know them generally.
Okay, well, let's move on to
the one that we hated.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
anybody guess which one that is?
Yeah.
You're all right. Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's amazing.
It was awful. I will say that it wasn't as bad as like the first series of Spider-Mans. Like, those were just not good. They were before people realized that they could make good comic book movies.
Right.
Which has happened since the late aughts, early teens of the 21st century here. They were early aughts, late 90s? No, early aughts.
Yeah, I don't know. I have them back there in my collection.
But those were terrible. The first Amazing Spider-Man was okay. It was pretty good.
I liked it. I thought I liked it better than the original trilogy.
Yes.
I like the Andrew or whatever instead of Tobey Maguire. I think he fits the character better.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it specifically you didn't like about Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Well, I hated the ending. I thought the ending was awful. Not what happened. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, but not, and those who didn't know about the comics. But not that Gwen Stacy died. Like, I knew that was coming. I know the comics well enough to know that she dies. Everybody who knows the comics knew she was going to die, so I wasn't upset that she died. I hated what they did in like the last 10 minutes. And that really colored the rest of the movie. I mean, part of the reason I didn't like the movie is because it's a superhero comic book movie that's based on special effects and action, and not based on character development and depth and story. You know, it's about how many bad guys can we have him fight this, you know, in this, which the fighting scenes were cool. Like,
the
really
effects
cool.
were awesome. I agree.
Really good. Great special effects. The story, the characters, kind of flat, sort of blasé, not that well written. The motivations seemed kind of silly sometimes. But the ending, it's like, okay, she died. She is the crux for Venom. Not Venom, but the symbiote, which should be the next movie. It should be the symbiote comes and Venom and everything. That, because Gwen Stacy's death, as I remember, and I could be wrong because, like I said, I'm not a comic book person. Her death is what sends Peter over the edge. It's what prompts him. It prepares him for the symbiote.
Yeah, it puts the darkness in him where
exactly. And at the end, they turn it around in the last like 30 seconds of the movie to like he just got over it. Like, I understand it was 5 months later, and to a certain extent, yes, you do need to get over the death of people. And I'm not saying that it has to be 5 months or whatever, and I'm not trying to get off on this darkness of, you know, trying to get over people's deaths. But it needed to end with a sad note. It needed to end like Empire Strikes Back with like, oh my God, everything sucks. You know, and
they don't, that's not the way American movies work.
Right. Well, that's the problem.
But that's not a problem that's easily fixable, unfortunately. For me, the thing that I don't like about it, and the more I think about it, the more I realize it is probably why the first trilogy didn't really, like, I liked the first one. I was like, this is neat. They're doing Spider-Man. And they're doing it well. And then there's 2 more movies. And then this one got relaunched. I'm like, I like the first one and the second one. Because every Spider-Man movie is the same struggle for Peter Parker. Should I be Spider-Man? How do I protect my family? And it's like, it's always the same. And that's where the predictability for me comes in.
Okay.
The effects were great. I thought the Jamie Foxx part was good. I think it could have been done better. And I think the fact that they had him as kind of the main villain throughout, and then they just popped in another villain at the end, was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And like it messed up the balance of what was going on. But the effects were great, but I feel like it's just typical. Like the Spider-Man story, we've all seen it. We've all a million times now, it feels.
Yeah.
You know, and there's throughout all of the many, many, many Spider-Man comics that have been, hasn't there been some other storyline that has happened?
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't involve that specifically.
What they need to do is they need to do like the Spider-Man 2033 series, which Spider-Man takes place in the future.
Right,
I think
there's a whole series of, like, I think the Fantastic Four, the XMen, there were a couple others.
Where he's gotten over his like teenage angst about things. Like, the teenage angst is the thing for Spider-Man. Like, it worked. It worked very well for the comic.
Right.
It's predictable and done. And maybe if the other Spider-Man hadn't come out a decade ago or less, this might work a little better, and I wouldn't be as angry about it. Yeah. But because it just came out, you're right. You're completely right about that. I mean, it's just that's what I liked about Spider-Man when I originally started writing, is that angst and that struggle. But now it's just becoming, dude, just get over it. Like, come up with something.
My recommendation, if you like that kind of movie and you haven't already wasted $11 on it or whatever your local theater charges you, wait till it comes out on HBO or Redbox.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay full rental. I wouldn't stream it for whatever, $6. Don't do it. You'll probably be disappointed. If you're a huge Spider-Man fan, you've already gotten over your disappointment, maybe you should go see it. You probably already have, but I don't want to waste any more time on that movie.
Yeah,
I already gave it 2 hours of my life.
It was really long, like way longer than it needed to be.
I think it was actually not as long as it felt.
I think it was 140 minutes.
It felt like 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyways, let's get to the final movie in our little 3.
Yeah, we just saw this yesterday. Well, a week ago yesterday now. Yes. But yeah,
time travel again.
Yeah. X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yes.
My wife went to see it before I did.
Right.
She went with my son. My son came with us. And if you didn't know who that little person that was hanging out with me was.
I didn't know. I thought it was just another friend. I thought he was maybe going to be the next host of the podcast.
Oh, well.
Man, he's short. Super immature, too. I was like, man.
When we reenact Game of Thrones, he would like to play Tyrion.
I think as long as we do that soon, it'll work.
Yeah, yeah. So, Days of Future Past. My wife went to go see it. She came home and said she thought it was great, and she thought I wasn't going to like it. I did like it. I actually did like it. While it didn't have like the story and depth that I wanted, it had the darkness and sort of disappointment future of X-Men and the potential future for the mutants that I love that kind of struggle of the underdog trying to fight against, that type of stuff. And I always liked the X-Men future storyline where, it's just this small band fighting against, overwhelming odds at that point. And I was generally familiar with some of the time travel aspects. I always thought it was Bishop or Cable that had gone back in time to try to stop the future, not what they did. What they did, and again, spoilers if you didn't know.
Correct.
Kitty Pryde?
Yes. The one who can travel through walls. That's her her first power.
Yeah, so evidently her powers had developed, and I don't know if this is canon. Obviously it is now, I mean, for the movies at least. She developed this ability to send a person's consciousness or mind back in time to their previous body. Which works well for a storytelling point of view, because it sort of intersects but doesn't really alter the timeline. Whenever you get into time travel with sci-fi movies, there's always going to be inherent problems, and your best bet, which they did in like Warehouse 13 recently, is to just say, ignore all of the like possible like problems with it. Just ignore it. Just don't worry about how these things could intersect or affect each other. Just enjoy that. Enjoy what's going on, and don't worry about how time travel doesn't necessarily work that way. But all in all, like, I love the characters. I loved, you could almost see to a certain extent a progression. It does change things for the original canon was a lot. Like
via the movies, yes.
Yeah, through the...
So again, spoilers. One of the greatest things about that, because first with the time travel, they kind of gave that, like, nothing takes effect until he wakes up. And then everything that he has changed will change.
Okay.
So they said that in the movies to, time travel's always got problems, but I think they handled it very well.
Yeah, it worked out okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about why the time travel didn't work. And so if you do that in a time travel movie, Back to the Future did a good job of that, where you're more focused on the story and less about how this is, you've got times existing at the same time, that really wouldn't be the case. It doesn't matter. They did a good job of making you forget that there was this time travel going along. So,
but because by the end of the movie things had changed so much because of the time travel and what had happened, it gave an opportunity for pretty much every major character from all of the movies, at least within the X-Men, to at least have a small cameo.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Kelsey Grammer, just walking down the hall as Beast.
Yeah.
The girl who plays Rogue, which should be able to remember her name, but I can't. Just having a small cameo, like in the classroom, teaching with the guy who plays Colossus, but doesn't get a lot of lines because he can't really act, I guess. And that guy's supposed to be Russian, actually. Colossus is Russian.
He is a Russian, yeah.
But that guy is like just American Nebraska football player. But all that opportunity to show, like, have all those people come back from those both franchises, First Class and the other one, was awesome. I thought that was great because you like to see a lot of heroes.
I think it was good for that like feel good feeling, but the fact that Phoenix is back scares the hell out of me.
Well, yeah.
Like, I mean, and that wasn't Jean Grey. It didn't seem Jean Grey to me. That seemed like the Phoenix.
Well, there's two Phoenixes. There's Phoenix and there's Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is the one they had to kill. Anyways, yeah, I'm like, I have no idea. I just know Phoenix is bad. You should look it up on Wikipedia. There's a whole, like, varied storyline, but anyways. I thought there were some incredible action scenes. There's one main one with Quicksilver that is fantastic.
Oh,
that is probably worth the price of admission.
That I 100% agree. Yes.
Between that and, like, the opening combat scene, those two are probably the biggest, like, combat scenes, and they're both pretty early in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other stuff going on that's more subtle.
Yeah.
As far as there's not as much combat, there's more you're trying to figure out what to do and blah 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 blah. But yeah, we got to see it early, so we only paid $9 as opposed to the $11 because we saw it in May, which is nice. But I would not have been disappointed if I had paid matinee pricing or non-matinee pricing and paid the extra couple bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't going to get the discount price, but we chose to go on that day because of how we do everything.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah, I know, right? But I agree. Like, I'm not disappointed at all. I'm a little sad that I couldn't see it in 3D, actually.
Yeah.
And the only reason is for that Quicksilver scene. That scene would have been amazing in 3D.
In retrospect, yes, that might actually be on my list of things to still do.
Yeah, because that was I would love to. I want to see that scene again because it was great. I'm really disappointed like Quicksilver didn't get more. I'm hoping in.
I think we need two questions answered. Number one, how quickly into the movie is that scene? And number two, how far into a movie can you go before you get your money back? yeah. Those are the ones. So email us, let us know, or comment in the down below in the video to let us know. Especially those who work at movie theaters, they would probably be the experts on that. It's true.
Yeah. That was a great scene.
It really was. It was incredible. And again, spoilers, hate to keep saying it because if you're still watching, you know we're doing that or listening. But the fact that they added the sprinklers going off to that scene, I remember as soon as he started running around and they had to add the extra water effects with him moving through everything, it was almost like an extra challenge they did not have to put upon themselves.
Yeah.
But it added so much to the scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's impressive. And it's a great, like, it makes you want to have that superpower.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of superpowers you're like, that'd be neat. You see that scene and you're like, I need that. How do I get that? Somebody get me on Craigslist. How do we make this happen? Because it's just amazing. And actually not the same actor, but the same character is going to be in the new Avengers. Because him and his sister is the Scarlet Witch. There's a whole thing.
Scarlet Witch too? Wow.
Yep.
I'm really excited about that.
The comments that he says when he first meets Magneto about how my mom knew someone who can control metal. That's because Magneto in the comics is Quicksilver's father.
Yep.
Yes.
Which it looks like that they're basically setting that up. It doesn't seem like that was supposed to be a throwaway like for the fans. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Like, I don't think that's going to become a crux issue. Like, are you really? I'm your father. No!
Yeah.
Gets his hand cut off and stuff.
Yeah. But Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch start off being kind of evil in the comics and then eventually go good to try to redeem themselves. But both Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are going to be characters in the new X-Men movie, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
To see, and I read something that Joss Whedon really wanted to add more dynamic powers into the next group of Avengers because all of his main characters before were like punch 'em guys. The Hulk, Captain America, Thor, even Iron Man, even though it's like he's blasting, but he's still kind of a punch 'em guy.
Right.
You know? So he wanted more dynamic powers, and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are really definitely more dynamic.
Right. I would like to see Doctor Strange.
I believe he is slated.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anything's been cast or anything, but he is slated. Somebody told me that Marvel's got their stuff planned out till 2028.
Wow.
Yeah.
My wife was telling me, actually, that's kind of weird, is that Marvel, obviously, X-Men is Marvel, and
Spider-Man.
Avengers is Marvel as well.
Right.
But they're owned by different studios.
That's because they sold, I think, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and X-Men before Iron Man ever got released.
Yeah.
Those are three big names that could get them, like, capital. I would believe, I don't know this for sure, but it sounds like they sold three big names that would get them capital so they could move into the other stuff.
Okay.
You know, because the Avengers, except for the Hulk, they're not as big of names or as popular as Spider-Man or the X-Men. You know, Spider-Man and Wolverine, I would say, are probably, popularity-wise, probably the two, pre-Iron Man being released, the two, maybe the Hulk as a third, the three most popular names in the Marvel Universe.
Right. But she was saying that one of the things that is kind of a stipulation is that, like, in the Avengers movies and things like that, they can't use the terminology of mutant. Mutants don't exist in that world. They're almost, even though technically they're all in the same universe, they don't actually exist in the same universe as it pertains to, like, copyright and everything like that. And so you will never see, like, an Avengers X-Men crossover unless
they somehow get the rights back. But why would they ever? They're not going to give back Wolverine.
Right.
I mean, until Hugh Jackman doesn't want to play the part anymore.
But, like, you won't see I can't even think what it is, but there's a cartoon out, a kid's one that's Avengers, but it's like more cartoony and silly, and their heads are really big and all that kind of stuff. But they've got Wolverine is in there
because he was an Avenger,
right?
At a time. He might be. I don't think he's a present Avenger because I think their present Avenger lineup more syncs up with the movies, but I don't really know.
Yeah, same thing with, like, I don't know if Spider-Man ever specifically was an Avenger, but he certainly worked with the Avengers on a couple of times, if not had to fight the Avengers at one point.
It's very possible. I think, I mean, there are a bunch of different, and we're really getting off on an Avengers tangent, but just like the Avengers, the new Avengers, the young Avengers, there's all these spin-offs. The X-Men, the same thing. There's a ton of spin-offs. You know, X-Men has a stipulation where you have to be a mutant, but it's not like the only supergroup you can be in if you're a mutant.
Right.
You know, so, and there are a lot of different people. Spider-Man was once, Spider-Man, Wolverine, the Hulk, and Ghost Rider, for like one or two comics in the Fantastic Four, took over for the Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that would be an interesting,
well, I will say,
if they could get there, like, that would be awesome.
I do know that, like, the Spider-Man is in the actual same city as the Fantastic Four. Like, they are all in New York. I'm fairly certain, because I know that there were some crossovers in which Spider-Man went to the Fantastic Four's, like, building, you know. But yeah, so there's I mean, Marvel did a good job. Stan Lee, you know, did a great job of having these crossovers and developing that whole universe. And that's the aspect of, like, comics that I love, like that whole universe and that depth to things that I love about it. And I feel like you don't get enough of that. I mean, eventually it can't be a Lord of the Rings. You can't make every Avengers like a Lord of the Rings that's that detailed of a world.
Right. But they are definitely missing opportunities with the other franchises, the X-Men and Spider-Man, and even Ghost Rider, which we won't mention beyond saying that it exists, where these characters do exist in the same world, and the ability to, you know, cross them over to some degree beyond just what the Avengers are doing. Fantastic Four is getting relaunched. You know, there's a whole slew of possibilities, you know, that just adds, you know, more profitability to the overall, you know.
I think Avengers and that franchise has done a great job of building that all of the movies matter. You know, like, each movie has something to do with the other movies and things that are going on in one movie. I mean, they said it with even the TV, the
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was what if you like, you don't have to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to get the stuff you need to in order to understand Captain America 2.
But if you see them both, you like,
oh yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, which is great. Like, I think that that's a wonderful way for them to create a sense of needing to watch these things, which helps build your brand, which to a certain extent is all about making money, but also for us as those who get to partake in this entertainment, like, it's a fun brand to be part of. I mean, it's one thing to make a movie that's here and gone and you're done with it, and it's another thing to be part of like this huge event of things unfolding.
And the couple movies they have coming out, the next couple movies they have coming out, Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man tie in as well, because Ant-Man, although I think that comes out after the next Avengers.
Ant-Man is an Avenger.
He is. He's one of the original, actually.
Along with Wasp, yep. I wanted to say Mrs. Bumblebee or something like that, but that would have been terrible.
That's a Transformer. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is supposed to tie in as well to the Avengers.
Which Guardians of the Galaxy looks awesome.
It really does.
It looks terrific. So I'm really looking forward to that this summer.
Me too.
Super big time. We're going to have to go see it and then talk about it.
Yep. Maybe even on the podcast.
Perhaps. Nice. There was something else I was going to say in regards to stuff that's coming up, and now I've forgotten. So that's what I get for drinking alcohol.
I know that DC is trying to play catch up. You know, they had their Batman movies that were successful. They relaunched Superman again with Man of Steel. They're coming out with Superman v Batman. And that's going to be the predecessor to the Justice League movie. They have the Arrow TV show. They're launching the Flash TV show. They're never going to catch up.
And maybe it's because I'm partial to Marvel, but I don't like DC. Like, the characters don't. I don't like the characters. I've never been a huge fan of Batman, Spider-Man. Superman's overpowered. I like super powerful characters, but super powerful characters that are evil. Like, I want to if it's a like, I love.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right? Speaking of which, like, for the ending of XMen.
Yes, after the credits.
After the credits, which, if you didn't know this, like, spoiler, super spoiler, if you watch a Marvel movie, you stay after the credits.
Every time.
I had to go to the bathroom so bad after X-Men. And I was like, I really need to go, but I don't want to miss this. Do you know who that... I mean, I had mentioned it. So
yeah, I did. It was Apocalypse.
It's Apocalypse.
The oldest and most powerful mutant.
And that scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of stuff. And Apocalypse is, like, by far the coolest. Like, he's way overpowered. Like, super powerful. He's not even a mutant. He's like a super mutant.
Well, yeah, he is a mutant, though. He's like the original mutant, born in, like, 3000 BC, and...
He cannot die. He's immortal, essentially.
He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
And then in the background was the 4 Horsemen, which are the Horsemen of Apocalypse, which all have their own mutant powers, which are pretty devastating. Crazy.
And that was not a cheap scene to film, either. It wasn't like a little throwaway scene.
Yep. No.
They show him, like, building the pyramids with his mind.
Pretty much.
You know?
Yep. So and it's not like the Apocalypse that I'm used to. Like, the Apocalypse I'm used to is in a big gigantic metal suit.
But that was later.
That is later, much later. Yeah, that's the future, actually. The future Apocalypse from the future that they had just now changed.
It's true.
Evidently, would have been Apocalypse. The original, like, go back in time thing was because of Apocalypse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, the original when they said Cable back or Bishop or whatever, and maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe Bishop will show up. Bishop was the guy with the gun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always get them mixed up because I think that they're brothers or cousins or something.
Yeah,
Bishop
I don't know.
Cable, I don't know.
I know they had I think they had a comic of their own where it was the two of them.
Yeah. So, but, yeah. So.
I would say overall, though, I mean, obviously the movies, I think we agreed on X-Men, we agreed on Amazing Spider-Man, and we were on opposite sides of Captain America.
Yeah.
But I think we would agree in the order of ranking, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man is down there below where you can't see.
Don't go see it in the theaters if it's even still. It's not in the theaters anymore. But
good. Good.
If you didn't see it in the theaters, you did the right thing.
Yep,
so
it's true. If you buy it on Blu-ray, keep the receipt. Although I'll probably eventually buy it on Blu-ray when it gets down to a cheap price, just to keep my Marvel collection intact. So
yeah, so you have the whole thing.
Yeah, you know, I even own Daredevil. What can I do? Both Ghost
That's
Riders.
That's actually really sad.
It is.
Daredevil and Ghost Rider.
I'm only missing a couple. The newest Thor I haven't gotten yet.
No.
The 2 Punisher movies, not counting the original Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren, because
from the 80s.
No one counts that. And one more, I think. Oh, Elektra.
Oh, okay.
But I have everything else, so I just wait for a good price on those like lesser movies. Like I paid really, really low price for Daredevil on Blu-ray.
Oh, let's hope so.
Like $3-4.
Yeah. It's not worth much more than that. Okay, well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Just in case, spoilers, this episode had them.
Yep.
So, again, always, thank you, Alex and the Anders and StravaMax.com. Please, if you haven't done it already and you've stayed with us all the way until the end, don't forget to like and share the vidcast and the podcast and let people know about us. We want to talk about things that you want us to talk about, so make sure that you email us and send us comments and things like that. Let us know what are the things that you liked, what didn't you like of those movies. Did you love Amazing Spider-Man? You want to get in a fight about it? You want to Skype us and we will have you on the show? Maybe. We'll see. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I've been drinking, so, what do you expect?
Okay. Bye, everybody.
See you later. Bye-bye.